Let's do it. And we are live on YouTube. Happy Sunday, everyone. Thank you for joining. What Gordana and I were just talking before I hit go live of just what a wild time it is. And the energy is everywhere. I had crazy dreams. People have been acting interesting. I probably been acting interesting. I mean, it's just a weird time. And yet here we are talking about Hold the Light Part 3. And I've sure loved their last two conversations. They've been beautiful.
Yes, they have. And this is why we have part 3 of this, because we love the topic. Speaking of how to hold your light, specifically in times like this. I mean, I don't know anyone who hasn't had a bad week this week, and I don't know what it is. It's something in the energy. There's something going on that triggers us, that makes stuff that we try to, repress and hold down. It just bubbles up to the surface, and we have to look at it and turn around and see, what can I do with this? Do I want this? Don't I want this? It makes us more easily triggered. It makes us more sensitive to our surroundings. It makes us more vulnerable. I don't know. For me, that's how this week has been. It's been like a roller coaster, emotional roller coaster. And I'm not prone to that. I mean, I really know how to balance myself, and I know how to go through this reality and find my balance all the time. But this week has actually put me really off balance. And I know it's done the same thing with you, Lucas.
Yeah.
By the way, welcome everyone.
Yes, welcome
to this Sunday Live.
I'll just start off with I sat in ceremony. I actually held space for two friends in a plant-based ceremony Friday night, and it was so beautiful, and I didn't know what was going to come up for me. My intention was because we're moving halfway across the country, that I would be prepared and step into the fullness for what I needed to step into. And interesting, it always gives me exactly what I needed. And in this ceremony, I realized how much sadness that I've held, and I've masked it with anger or intellect or being funny. Like, I was the class clown in high school. I was voted best personality, but I would hijack every teacher's class. I would not let authority take rule over me. And I would always, and I'm not proud of that. I just look back and understand I was masking not anger. I was not masking the abuse. I was masking deep, deep sorrow. And I allowed myself to feel that deep, deep sorrow. And I was just bawling my eyes out. And then the two people that I sat with in ceremony, I said, I feel so much sadness. And I go, it's sad, right? Like, this is sad, right? I needed someone to say, like, what happened to me is sad, right? And they're like, yeah, it's really sad. I'm like, yeah.
You know what? Sometimes we just need a witness to whatever it is that we have been through in order to lift ourselves from this sadness and darkness. But also sometimes you actually do need to sit in the darkness in order to appreciate the light that you're actually holding, the light that you're made of.
Yes.
Because the sadness is held by the ego. Ego holds on to it because it's a part of your identity, and ego is all about identity. This is why we have these memories, so that we can know who we are. So there is a purpose in having the memories and the sadness. The purpose is not to stay in the sadness. The purpose is to look at it, and if you are really lucky, you can have witnesses that will help you to see the same thing as you do, to validate that that wasn't who you were. This is something that was imposed on you. This is something that someone else did to you. This is not who you are. It's a part of your physical, your earthly being, your personality, but it is not who you are.
Right.
So the darkness and the murkiness that was imposed upon you is not who you are. So when you look at it and you feel the sadness, you release it actually. So that's a good thing that you could feel it, but of course it feels, it's pain. It's pain
Yeah.
to look at it.
Yeah. It was interesting because we are talking about holding the light, and and this is part of the holding the light process, which is why we're sharing it, is not to just gaslight ourselves. I think this is really important in the spiritual community. Sometimes it's just like, say your affirmations, stay in, ground, stay in the space. Like, like sometimes it is to acknowledge and grieve and be in the darkness and understand, wow, okay, the contrast, I get the contrast. And thank goodness I'm not, you're right. Like that is the ego container. And our ego, like we said so many times on these lives, is not bad. It's part of us. It is a gift. We can use it. We can look through. It's the container. Like I love, it's the glass that holds the water. It's so beautiful. But it was this moment of, I needed to acknowledge to myself, like for some reason, I just could not allow myself, probably an ego, just to acknowledge the pain, even though, I've expressed so much pain, but I've expressed it through anger, and I just get like, but under that anger, the truth is, there's a lot of sorrow.
Yes.
Once I let it go, let it out, acknowledge it, saw it, and said to my ego, okay, I hear you. It was sad. You're right. You're right. It just melted away. And I left that night just in such joy and such peace. And I would love to give the world the permission to grieve, because I think so often that's what we need. There's so many angry people, but what are they? Are they really angry, or are they really sad? They're really deep down sad.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, if you can bear the pain of looking through the anger and seeing what's beneath it, you might find sadness, feeling injustice, powerlessness, not being able to defend yourself, to respond in the proper way because you're too small and someone who's bigger is doing something to you and you can't do anything. So I think that is where the anger actually is. So it is the sadness and powerlessness, or the illusion of sadness and powerlessness created in this reality, because you can release it as a grown-up. You can go back and you can look at it the way you did and hold your light, hold the light for yourself. Holding the light does not mean to feel nothing. Holding the light does not mean to be happy. Holding the light means to look at what is in the light so that you can discern what you want to keep and what you want to release.
That's so
good. And if you do not do that, well, then you're carrying stuff that will trigger the wrong responses or the wrong reactions within you, like becoming angry instead of grieving it out of you.
Yeah.
And if you do not hold the light for yourself, you cannot see that it is grieving that you need to do. So you stay in that stagnated place, and you can trick yourself into believing that I can handle my anger, I'm staying balanced, but you're actually not, because you're not addressing what's beneath the anger. Yeah. So we are talking about holding the light and how to do that. We can do that for others. We can help them. As you said, you held space with two other guys.
Yeah.
And you helped them look at themselves, and you witnessed what they were going through, and they did the same to you. Yes. So you held the light for each other, but you have to hold the light for yourself too. When you see the anger, or when you see things that you don't like in your past, you have to have the courage to stay with the light there and look, so that you can release it or do something with it. It's supposed to be transformational in the now moment when you go back there and look at it, not just fearful and make you run away. So holding the light means actually to have courage enough to look at the pain sometimes, and that's I mean, that's not happiness. That's not, oh, I have a positive affirmation going on here.
Right. Right.
It's to stand in that grief and allow the real feeling to come out.
It's so one of the things that I experienced that Friday night was consciousness. In consciousness, what I found and discovered for myself in experiencing that grief and going through this whole process in the ceremony is consciousness is the experience of everything. That is the joy of consciousness, that I can feel all things and then decide what I want to continue to feel. And I was laying on the ground and I felt like I was in a fetal position. This is going to sound odd perhaps to people listening, but I felt like I was in a fetal position, like next to myself, like curled up, but I opened my eyes and I wasn't. I was just laying there. And I thought, how interesting. My conscious mind made me feel secure, even though I was laying on the ground just with my eyes closed. And I thought, I can bring that experience to myself at any moment, at any time. Like I can experience reality through consciousness however I so choose. And what a gift. And I don't know, getting back to the spectrum of pain, joy, darkness, light, hurt, healing. Consciousness is being able to stay and experience it all and then know, okay.
Yeah. Yes, because consciousness is unconditional love and light.
Yes.
So when you shine more of your own consciousness on whatever it is that you're looking at, it transforms everything in its warm light. It will transform anything, pain, whatever it is, it will allow you to see it without the fear that you will die from the pain, or that this is too much and you can't handle it. Because this light is so soft and so accepting and so unconditional that it allows you to look at it and say, see, you're still alive. You're breathing. It's okay. It will help you go through that. So this is why we need to connect to that warm light from within. It is our consciousness. It's the focus point where our awareness is and where we focus ourselves into being in this reality. So when we are in that focus point, ego is there, your body is there, you're present. And it's a question of how open you are to that consciousness. It's not about you getting the consciousness from the outside. It's about how open are you? How transparent is your ego? How much can you see of that consciousness around you? Because when you do what you did, you can see that the consciousness is there. It will always support you and hold you regardless of what you're going through. And I know this. Even when you are in a place where you think that you're going to die, this is what happens because it says it's okay. This is okay. Nothing can harm who you truly are. This is one of the truths out there, that who I truly am and who you truly are cannot be harmed by anything. My body can be harmed. I can die, my body can die, but who I truly am cannot be harmed by anything. So when you tap into that consciousness, it's not utter joy. It's just feeling held and protected. Even though we actually don't need to be protected. But in this physical world where there is a polarity and duality going on, there is an illusion of fear and danger out there. So that's a part of the experience here. So it's not that it isn't there, but it cannot hurt who you truly are. It can hurt your body, but it can't hurt who you truly are. So the safety and the protection feels good to a human being because we have this human experience here that gives us this illusion that there is a duality and polarity.
Right. And that there's an end. And
Yes, but that's also why we're here. We're here to explore these extremes. We're here to explore how it feels not to be whole. We're here to explore how it feels to be broken, in a sense.
Right.
And when you can tap into that consciousness, the light, the warm light that transforms everything, you can actually allow yourself to explore these feelings and then come back and feel supported, held, and whole.
Right.
I think you did that with your little exercise.
Yeah. It has been it's interesting. With the two people that I was with, it was the first time them sitting with this medicine, as I call it. And I said, you see, we can't cognitively bring these things to the surface, and unless you're in a, you have to go, and it doesn't have to be on medicine, it can be in a meditation group, it can be, but very rarely can the person go and meditate themselves into a place to bring forth what they need to bring forth. It's usually in a setting with intention, with others, be it silent retreats, or there has to be something that breaks the normal routine that we're in every day to bring forth this wellspring within each of us. And they saw that, and it was really beautiful for me to witness them realize, wow. And one of the guys, he's like, I'm a really cool person. And I was like, you are a really cool person.
Isn't it beautiful when you have a revelation like that? Yes. I mean, it can sound like, small children saying it, but this is the truth. I had an experience the other day or the other week where I was in a meeting, and I was sitting there in my own thoughts, and I suddenly realized that I am my own best friend. And I started smiling because
chills.
I'm a really kind person, and I have this resource within me, this really kind, supporting, loving friend, which is me. I am my own best friend. And I was thinking, why have I not figured this out before? I mean, half of my life is gone, and I haven't realized that I am actually my own best friend. And if I look at it from outside, I would be happy to have a friend like that. But I never say hi to her otherwise. And this gave me a smile on my face, and I'm thinking, I have such a good friend. I'm never alone. This woman will protect me all the time. She will be my best friend. She will be my cheerleader if I let her. And why am I only having conversations with the bullying one? I want to have conversations with the one that is kind and nice and loves me and will be there for me, and who is really cool. And I was so happy to realize that I was my own best friend. And it sounds so childish, but it is a revelation.
It's beautiful.
It's a revelation to understand that. And each and every one of you listening and watching this, you all have this best friend within you. Every one of you has this. Why not use it? Why not allow this best friend to speak to you and say, you know what, you're a little bit tired, go to bed, go to sleep, you're a human being, you've done your best, go to sleep, and we'll play tomorrow. Why not? I mean, why not? That's a way to hold your own light, to realize that you are your own light in the darkness, meaning you are your best friend. And that's a relationship that you have until your last breath. Why not start paying attention to that relationship and saying, okay, how can we help each other? Me and my best buddy here. It's really important to start thinking about it in that sense, that we all have this best friend within us.
I think it will explain, and let's talk about, because as I'm sitting experiencing what you're saying, that for me, and we've talked about this before, like I experience myself like back here, and you say in the pineal gland, which is so beautiful, like when you had that realization, where, because there has to be almost like a separation for a moment to that acknowledgement, right? Or what did you experience consciously?
When I had the realization, I felt it. I think I felt it more in my heart
In your
space.
heart. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was thinking that there is a best friend in me, someone who will be there for me every single time if I allow this. So it was in my heart space. But usually when I go to, a place where if someone would ask me, where do you feel your guardian angel? I would say that I feel it's somewhere in my pineal gland, a little bit further down in my neck, maybe, but pineal gland. And that is where this guardian angel is standing. Now it's shifting from one day it's here and the other day it's here, but usually I can sense it in my pineal gland. It's like a extra space that is created there. And I'm more aware. I have more space in my mind. There's no clutter, there's no fog, nothing. It's very clear there when I think about that. And that's how I feel that my consciousness has expanded. And I know that you talked about it being lower down. Somewhere.
Yeah, it's back here somewhere. And when I read The Untethered Soul, it was like, oh, that's exactly, it was like I can detach, observe, almost like I'm sitting in a lounge chair and I just watch. I can, like, everything's unfolding as real time, but I'm an observer of it all. And it helps me. And I'm always figuring things out. I'm always thinking, how, why, when, where, who, when, so what, I'm always asking these questions, and that helps me process that.
Yeah. I think we were talking about the observer within us.
Yes.
The observer within us, and that was funny because your observer was further down and my observer is definitely in this pineal gland area between my eyes here. Every time I go into this observer mode, I feel a tingling feeling in my neck, and then I feel how everything expands, and I can even close my eyes and I still feel the expansion around me. It's almost like levitating from the chair. I can't, this sounds so weird, but it feels like I become lighter and everything expands within me. And it comes absolutely from my pineal gland. And when you were talking about it, you said that it came from your neck. And I was thinking that it's maybe a difference between us because me being a woman and you being a man, there's something with the strength, shoulders trying to protect, and it comes from there. Whereas for me, it's more like how can I interact so that I can calm things down. It's more like sending it out, and for you, it was more like becoming
Holding
stronger or holding this. But yes,
yeah.
And I really like that because I was thinking everybody has this in the same place, and it's not. I think people feel the observer in different places in their body. So it would be cool to know what our watchers and listeners here, where they feel the observer.
Yeah, if you guys, I know we have some beautiful souls watching. If you guys put in the comments where is your observer at? Is it, where in the body is your observer at? I'd love to see that.
Where do you feel that the observer within you resides when you go into either meditation or when you're highly aware, when you're mindful? Where do you feel that where's the seat of the observer within you?
Sergey said, we truly have a big family of roles inside of us: observer, actor, qualificator, the reflector. Some could say the angel and the devil on each shoulder. This is a constant dialogue between all our roles.
Yeah, absolutely. We have an inner storyteller which will tell us, and it shifts roles all the time. So absolutely. And the stillness is the meditative mind where we allow pure consciousness to be there with us.
Yeah.
It's funny how it took such a long time for me to go into a meditative state, because it's a question of silencing the mind and not reacting to anything. And I realized that I was better at visualization than meditation. And it's almost like there is a difference between meditation and visualization. You need to be relaxed in both of them. You need to have an open mind in both of them. Except that for me, it feels like meditation is when I am receiving information from consciousness, source, God, my higher self. Visualization is when I am sending information to my higher self, God, consciousness, like telling what I need. And meditation is telling me what I need. So it's a different communication in both of them, but it's still, you need to be relaxed and you need to have an open mind. And it's a question of is it coming down to you or are you sending up?
Yeah, that is really beautiful. I want to acknowledge Lantern said, I feel my observer in my heart. And Gloriana said chest, heart. She said, but actually it's the same place as the bully, just that the feeling is different, which is
yes. Oh, that's very insightful. I love that.
Yeah, that's really good. You know, they say that prayer is talking to God, meditation is God talking to us. And I just love that. It's the same thing you're saying, like visualization, sending it out, and the exploratory nature of sending it out. Like, I love how you describe, it's very etheric and feminine. It's beautiful. Like when you talk about your pineal gland, and I just picture like this exploration, expansion, and it's this beautiful cadence. And however we do that, I think the first gift of our own awakening is to know that we have that within us. And this is part of the light. The light emits. I mean, if there's a fire over a hill and it's late at night or it's dark at night, you can see the glowingness of the fire. There's always a light and curiosity, light and movement, light and exploration go hand in hand, whether it's within us or we're finding more light without us. It's not static. And that's, I think, what I'm saying. It's not a static process or a thing.
Absolutely. It is always there. It is not, as you say, static. It is there, but it is moving. It is changing. It is shifting. And it gives you opportunities to explore things that you cannot see in the darkness. So it's actually a question of trusting. It's a question of seeking the funny rush of a surprise, curiosity. It's a question of allowing things to be as they are. And looking at them with this warm light, as you did in your exploration. I mean, if you reject it because you know that it's going to give you pain, then you won't go there and you will not explore it. You will not know its secret. And that's how you stagnate. So so the trust is to be able to move forward and know that there might be pain, especially if you go back in your memories or in your past and you want to clear the energy there. You have to do this with this warm light and openness and curiosity and trusting that the pain will not be as big as you imagine it before you start.
Okay, this is really interesting. I'm glad you brought this up. So in this ceremony that I sat in Friday night, earlier in the week, I had a client send me a message that was very direct and basically said, so I edited a video for their client, and the video was poorly done, but I made it as best as I could. I spent a long time trying to clean up the audio, color correct it, and 6 revisions with this client. And I thought I was serving them well, but I knew just the source file was just not good. And my client messaged me in a very direct way and said, this should never be allowed to come to where it ended up living. You should have said, redo this video, send me something new. And I acknowledged to her, I said, thank you. You know, I will ensure that I do that next time. But it sat weird in me, and I've sat with it all week. And then in the ceremony Friday night, go into this dark room, and I'm looking outside, and it's just pouring rain. And I'm looking, all of a sudden I remember this whole experience. I hadn't thought about it all night. And I realized she was prompting me to trust myself. And it was such a gift. And I thanked her in that moment. Like, wow, you're not my adversary. You're not even scorning me or correcting me. She was a gift to say, trust yourself. Sovereign being, sovereign man, sovereign soul. Trust yourself. Oh, and I just like,
Well,
my goodness.
This is what I mean when I say that the soft light, the warm light of unconditional acceptance and love, our source, when you shine that, everything transforms. Even the things that might seem like, oh, she's trying to hurt me. Oh, my ego goes berserk and I don't like her. She's full of herself, whatever it is, projecting our own stuff over at them.
Yeah.
This consciousness, this loving light can look at it and say, okay, if I look at it from this perspective, she's actually telling me to trust myself.
Yeah.
I should have done.
Exactly.
It's as simple as that.
Exactly.
So this is what this light is. It is to look at things from a higher perspective, meaning, why am I experiencing this right now? And what's the lesson? Everything that comes to us, if we're grown-ups. As children, we have no control over this. So we cannot talk about it in that sense that as children, we could choose it. But as grown-ups, we can choose our way of looking at things. We can choose to look through ego and scarcity and fear and illusion, or we can choose to look at it from a higher perspective, asking, what is the lesson here? And why am I experiencing this right now? Not, oh God, why am I experiencing this right now? More curiosity. Why is this in my life right now? What can I learn from it? Because it's there for you to see something that is not you. To look at something that feels like pain and that is not you, because you are not the pain. That's a deviation from who you are.
Yes.
So when you look at it and it's painful, you are not the pain. You are this is a deviation from who you are. So how can you explore this? And what can you gain from it? What can you extract from it? What's the gold in this? This is what I mean when I say that when I sit with my clients, I take a problem and then we shift its perspective until we find the brightest side of that perspective or that problem. And we focus on that brightest side. And then we continue to shift until we find the light in this or the gold in it. And then when you do that, you are ready to release it. You don't need it anymore because you've used it. You release it to where it came from, back where it came from. So the light is about looking at the brightest side of anything that comes to you. It's not about overly positive thinking, balanced thinking. It's about looking at it and asking, why is this in my life right now? And how can I find its brightest side so that I might understand what it brings to me? It's always, I write it in my book, it's like a Buddha in disguise. All the little obstacles and big obstacles, adversaries, everything that we feel is like a negative energy in our reality is like a little Buddha in disguise. So if we can see through the disguise, we will find the light in that.
Yes. And that goes collectively as humanity right now on the planet and society, like what we're going through. It's the same thing as an individual or as the collective, that if we find the light. It's interesting as you're saying that. I've been doing these podcasts more like breaking down the Bible, helping people who are leaving religion from that dogmatic sense, but understanding some beautiful things. The Bible starts off, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And later on, it says that God is light. So we can say the light created the heaven and the earth. And then in Genesis 1:2, it says, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. So all of a sudden there's darkness, there's void, there's nothingness. And then God says, let there be light. And there was light. And God saw the light that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. We have to be in the darkness to find the light always. No one just, because if it was just light, we would not appreciate it. We would know nothing. We would have no consciousness. We would have no, that's why the dimensional ascension is necessary. Because if you just were on the highest vibration or the highest octave note, who cares? Like, no one wants to listen to the person who has just sat in the meditative pose their whole life and then been like, well, can you share with me wisdom? And they say, I have none for you. I don't know,
Yeah, or you have all wisdom.
Yeah,
you have everything. Yes, right, everything. So where's the fun in that?
Exactly.
All forms need shadows in order to have a form, which means that there has to be light and darkness. But it's a question of balancing the darkness so that it doesn't overtake you, that everything becomes light.
That's right.
So it's a question of finding this light within you and then using it wisely, wherever you need it, using it, and still stay in this human form and explore the shadows and the forms, because there is no form without a shadow. You can't see a form. So the shadow is embedded in this reality, but it's a question of knowing where the light comes from.
Yes.
The light is your awareness, your focus point of awareness. That is the light. For me, in my book, I describe it as having a light in your forehead, and wherever you turn your head, there is darkness, and wherever you turn your head, and that's where the light is, and that is what you can explore and experience. Now, this light can be dimmed by your ego, and you will have to look for the stuff because it's not clear to you. The less you look through ego, the bigger this light is. It also takes in more of the darkness then. But if you're not looking through ego, you know that the darkness is an illusion, so you can play with it.
Yes.
And playing with it, I think that as soon as we know who we are, that we are this unconditional love and light, that is our true being here, we can play with it. It doesn't hurt as much when we are in darkness because we know that that's only temporary. It is not eternal like the light within us. That is eternal. It cannot be. It cannot be destroyed.
That's right.
So just knowing that is enough, I think.
The other thing with that is, and you're right, I think that is enough too. I was saying what comes up for me is one of the concepts that has helped me put into perspective everyone and everything that I encounter is that life is a giant board game. It is a game. It is in every game, there has to be a counter force or an adversarial force or the ability to fail or the ability to not continue the path, because that's what makes the game fun, or the game,
Yes.
an actual game. There has to be an opponent. And not that I look for who is an opponent and who is a player. It's just, it's about our own, it's not about another person. In fact, how do I say this? When I was in pain and unhealed, I drew abusive men into my life consistently, in my business, in my consult, in everywhere I came, went, sought, met. It was always men that wanted something from me, that took something from me, that spoke just poorly to me. Because that was the game. I was a player in a game at a level where I hadn't yet figured out, I'm searching for the answer to basically go to the next level. And the next level is always within me. It wasn't without them. I kept judging them and realizing, wait a minute, there is no external solution. It's all internal. And once I changed it internally, all the players changed on the board and I was on a new level. And life has become fun. Like what I'm saying, the client says something to me, and in pain, I could have been like, oh, no, she was right. What in me? Oh, I didn't trust myself. Okay, next level, next level, next level. And this journey becomes fun instead of painful, instead of people are out against me. No, they're actually for me to go in me to realize, oh, I have something else to grow or go to.
Yes, absolutely. It's a question of heightening your frequency. I talk a lot about the frequency and heightening your frequency, because you cannot experience something that is of a higher frequency than yourself. So if you're operating on a frequency where you have been abused, and it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy, when you look at people, that this is an abuser and that is an abuser, and you're always in fear that you will encounter an abuser. Well, the universe will give you encounters with them, because you need to solve it within yourself, to change the frequency, to heighten it, to broaden it, to dial into something else. And it cannot be done from the outside. So it actually serves you by giving you opportunities to explore the new you, by saying no to these people. As a grown-up, as a child, you couldn't do it. So as a grown-up, it is giving you an opportunity to say no, enough, to, put a line somewhere, to say these are my boundaries, because you needed to learn how to put healthy boundaries around you.
Yes, that's right.
And how do you learn that unless someone violates those boundaries? So it looks like a horrible thing from the outside, but the universe or the source or whatever we want to call it, it will give you opportunities to change so that you will become what it is that you want to become, and not habitually being what you were taught to be. Sorry. Yes.
Oh, no, sorry. I think everyone listening, and Gloriana, I'll get to your question. This is such a good question, but everyone listening, I think, can relate to this. When we are looking for outside solutions, we want to commiserate with friends, and that's, oh, this happened to me. And then our friendships are built on them affirming, yeah, that's really bad.
Outer validation
Constantly. And that's how we build these friendships. And I think that's how I built my friendships. Obviously, it was some more than that, but you see,
Yeah, but you know what? Sometimes we actually do need to have someone from the outside tell us things, so that we will wake up to them in ourselves. As a young person, as a young woman, I needed to be told all the good things about myself, because I wasn't able to see them. I wasn't taught to see them. I couldn't. So I needed a template from the outside telling me, you are marvelous, you're amazing, you're cool, you're kind, you're loving, all these things that I needed to hear from the outside. Because if you don't hear them, you need a template to create it within you. So when you start believing people, you start thinking they might be right, and then you start building something within And that's when it comes from within. So
Yes.
sometimes we need a trigger from the outside, but what you were talking about is more like people keeping you in that state by
Yes.
saying,
Affirming it.
yeah,
Yes.
you're right, he's such an idiot, or this and that.
That's right.
To, judge instead of going in and saying, okay, if they see these values within me, that means that it is there.
Yes.
So it's up to me to find it or to create it or to do something with this. Yes. So there is a difference, but I think that everyone needs someone on the outside, but at the same time, it
good.
Cannot be fully done unless it comes from within.
Right. Right. That's so good. Gloriana said, sometimes I feel that our shadows throughout life can change. They come and go and look different. Do you consider that our light can also change, or is it permanent?
I think that the light is eternal, and it is the same within each and every one of us. It's a question of how much we open and how much we close. So the light is as intense and static within us, so to say. Static is the wrong word, but it is the same. It is never changing. And then it's a question of how much we open up to that light. I don't think that we are able in our physical body to open up fully to the light, because that would mean that we cannot exist here with it. So it's a question of yes, exactly. So it's a question of what filters we use. For me, I have this thing that I call my love filter. I'm not allowing things to come out of me in this world unless it has passed my love filter. That is the proper amount of light that I can send out without, being too light. So it's a question of what filters we put there. So not all shadows are bad. We need the shades in this.
Yes.
And I think that the older we get, the more we are, or I don't know, that I'm speaking for myself, the more I am connected to this inner light, the more I feel safe in that inner light, knowing that it is the real truth about who I am. Everything else is changing around me. So things that I liked when I was 20, I don't like them today. And things that I didn't like, I might say, oh, that's more like me today. So your personality and the shades change. But this light from within, I don't think it changes. No.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Like you've
what a beautiful question. Thank you.
It is. It's such a beautiful question. You mentioned before just how you view time in this spiral. I find that it's the same as we go through life. Our soul is the light, our truest essence, and then we are going to experience it differently, encounter different shadows.
Yeah, for me, it's like saying that the stillness within, that is the light and unconditional love, the stillness, because it doesn't have to do anything. It just observes. So the stillness is, it's not moving. It's like the eye of the storm. It is perfect stillness, clarity, perfect stillness. Nothing is moving. It's stillness. And then you have the physical world in constant motion. Everything is changing all the time, changing. That's the shades, that's the shadows, that's the light in this world, that's the polarity and duality. It is always changing, and it's really fast. So what happens is that your awareness picks something out of this movement, and with this stillness, you're observing it. And if you forget that you're the stillness observing things, like observing a feeling, you think that you are the feeling, then you've been caught in this movement around you, and you forget who you are. And it becomes really painful. This is what I mean when I say that a pain is a deviation from the stillness.
Yeah.
Because you've fallen asleep to who you are, and you've jumped into the movement around you, and you're in the drama. We don't stay there for long, hopefully, and we return back to the stillness from within. And that's when you wake up and go, why did I do that? Oh my God, that's not me. It isn't. It was the movement from the outside, the shades, the stuff that is around us, not the center of us.
And isn't it interesting how the negative self-talk
Oh, yes.
states what we are,
Mhm.
even though we are not. So when I know people say, I'm dumb, I am this,
Mhm.
and it's the same thing as someone, a kid, a school kid at the schoolyard saying, you're ugly, you are this. Well, the are, anything, is not the truth
No.
of my beingness. So it doesn't even matter if I say I am beautiful. My soul, my light is beautiful. But if I was burnt in a fire and I was in a wheelchair and I was breathing through a tube,
Mhm.
the physical outer experience is nothing. It doesn't mean anything. My light is beautiful. My love is beautiful. My soul is beautiful. But the R-ness that gets ascribed to this experience is never true, even if we agree to it.
Yes, it's, or let us say that it's not that it isn't true. It's a part of the movement or a part
Yes.
of the illusion.
Yes.
Okay. Everything that follows I am is something that will be a description of who you think that you are in this world.
Great. Great.
And we are here to explore who we think that we are. We are the light, but we are also the things that we are exploring here. This is why we have an ego that will tell us you're this and you're that. Without that, we wouldn't be experiencing life. So the way I see it is like your soul and your body are one and the same thing, only your soul is vibrating on a really, really high frequency, and then the frequency is lowered into a physical body. But it's like water and ice. You can't say ice isn't water. It is, but it's a different frequency. And so it is with our bodies.
So good.
So if I am focused on outer beauty, that doesn't mean that it is wrong. It is a part of my being here, my desire to explore the physical reality. So my soul has a desire to explore beauty. So I will take care of my body, or whatever beauty means to me, or it's not the same thing for everyone, but beauty as a concept. So there is nothing, I can't say that my body isn't a part of my soul. There is no division between my body, mind, and soul. It's just different frequencies, and everything is me still. So in a sense, my body doesn't have a soul. My soul has a body, an extension that is my body here.
Yes.
So why wouldn't I take care of everything? It's not like my physical being is not important. It is important to me in the physical world. In that end of my soul, it is important.
Yes, that's so good.
What is more important is not to disconnect oneself from it and think that you can work with your body only from the outside, like makeup and stuff. You can work with your body from the inside. That is where the true power comes. If you're connected to your soul and you have intentions and desires that you want to explore in this reality, you can allow it through your body by honoring that body for being the temple where your soul actually is exploring this reality. So you see, there is no disconnection between the two.
That's so good. That's at the men's retreats that I lead, it doesn't matter what color. I've had Asian, black, brown, yellow, like the most beautiful diversity of expressions of this physical form.
Yes.
And then I've had guys that come just ripped out because they're in the gym, because that's how their identity, to keep them safe, and they
control.
Control.
Yes.
And I've had guys that overeat because they were wounded, and that's what keeps them feeling safe. Like all these
padding.
Exactly. So whether it's the color, whether it's the experience in the body, whatever it is, and the greatest gift I can give them is to remember that all of this is just to experience what a soul's expression is here to express and experience, and remember that. And if our souls are not healthy, if our souls, like, I love how you say the light, you open it up like that. And I feel like our souls want this. It's the same thing. I look at a soul as a liberated soul, a free soul has no obstacles or filter. It's, it's like what the aperture is wide open, I guess, it's And when men that I've worked with understand this and it clicks, it is like they glow. It's so beautiful. It doesn't matter if they're fat, in shape.
Yeah.
Okay, they just glow.
Yeah, because what it is, usually in this world, when there's something wrong with us, we need to work with that problem. There's a problem and you need to work with it.
Right.
But if you look at it from a different perspective, you are always perfect.
Yes.
The light is always there. It is always shining. What you need to do is to allow it to shine. It's a different thing to think that if I open up, if I relax a little bit, the light will be able to shine more through me. So working with it feels like, oh, I don't know if I want to do that. And you close down because it's an effort, it's an action. You need to do something. But if you look at it from like you already have everything you need, just like an acorn has everything it needs to become a beautiful oak, so do we have everything we need from within.
Yes.
From the first breath we take. So it's there. It's a question of removing the obstacles from within so that you can allow the light to shine. That means to relax, to surrender a little bit more, to become kind to yourself, to love yourself a little bit so that that light can come out. Becoming more aware of your own relationship to yourself and what you're doing to yourself.
Yes.
Allowing yourself to soften up. Yes. It's not about not having goals. It's not about not having desires. Your ego will contain those because that's the mechanism. This is how it works here. So you will have all of that, but it's easier when you allow more of this soul source into this world through you by being kind to yourself and others, by being aware of yourself, by being present in every now moment, by asking yourself, what is my intention here? And then honestly answering, my intention is to bring light. My intention is to bring love here. My intention is to bring understanding, not confusion and fear. The intention, asking yourself, what is my intention here, will open you up. If you honestly want to have communication with people, then it's not that hard to ask the question, what is my intention here? I have it actually written on a card here, which I find where it's there.
That's good. That's
and
good.
Then if I don't know how to answer, I will ask myself, what do I really want?
Yes. Yes.
Because I think we don't ask ourselves, what do I really want? Not in a needy way, but what do I really want? For me, that question will always be, I want people to feel safe. I want You're laughing.
I'm laughing. I'm so sorry. I'm laughing because in the ceremony Friday night, I told this guy, you're right. Okay. You're right. So what? Who cares? Okay, you're right. Like, what do you really want? That's what I said. Like, okay, you're right about everything.
Yes.
And so what?
So
like, what else are you here to create? Like, okay, you're right. All of us are wrong. And still, what do you really want?
Yes.
That's such a
But if you can answer the question and be present,
no,
you might say, well, you know what? I want validation.
Yes.
Validate me.
Yes.
So that it's okay.
Or I want to have fun again. I want to be a kid again, or I want to just be again or something.
Yes, absolutely. I was thinking about, acknowledging the negative stuff that is going on within us. Instead of trying to manipulate people to give you the praise, you might say, what I really want is for you to validate me. I want to be praised. I want you to tell me how good I am, to be honest in it. Or, as you were saying, to go there and really ask yourself, what is it that I really want? Well, I want to play. I want to be curious. I want to have my spirit bubble up like this.
Yes.
But to be very, very clear on what is it that I really want. And I think that, it's 1 hour. I can see it here. Before we end, I just want to share this, that you can become more intentional with this light Because setting an intention every morning when we wake up sets the framework, emotional framework for the day. So just having an intention that today I want to be more open. Today I will allow that light from within me. Today I will be more present. That's an intention. In the morning, before you do anything else, you set that intention, and the universe listens to intentions. They're like arrows, emotionally charged arrows, which you shoot into the future. And it creates the reality you want wherever it falls down, because it is a projection of your desire, and the universe will never ever ignore such a projection. So you will become more aware of people who are open, of more love in your reality, if you have an intention to explore more of that. So that's one thing to do. Another thing to do, in order to allow the light to start daydreaming more. Daydream about the things that you want in your reality. Daydream about the life that you want to live. Daydream about everything. Because a daydream is a prayer, and the universe listens to the prayers. It's like shining your light on that. Also, one more thing, appreciation.
Yes.
Before you go to bed every night, take some time to appreciate all the things that were good that day. Appreciate them. Just shine your light on it. Never go to bed in a low frequency.
Yeah.
Because you wake up with your light dimmed.
Yeah.
So heighten the frequency before you go to bed. Say thank you for everything that is great in your life. And there's always great things in our lives. You can always find them, even if it's just today was a sunny day and I enjoyed the sun.
Yeah, that's right. In Judaism, the very first prayer upon awakening is thanking God for returning our soul within us, just thanking God for conscious awareness. That's like the very base level of gratitude. It's just, oh, I'm aware. That's everything to be.
I woke up.
Woke up. Yeah.
Yes.
Woke up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, this is so beautiful. Thank you all. Terrell, Gloriana, Ahmed, Sergey, Matt, Lantern Hill, and Suresh, M2, just a beautiful comments and conversation. And thank you. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for being with us this beautiful Sunday. Thank you so much.
Thank you.